LiberalViewer presents.
So first I want to show the answer from the head of the NAACP, Cornell, Brooks, there, that I really liked, where Bob Schieffer asked him what's going to happen if the grand jury doesn't come up with any charges against this police officer. And his response is basically a huge criticism of the St. Louis County Prosecutor, Bob McCulloch, who, when I was a public defender in St. Louis County, he was the prosecutor then, and I had a lot of problems with some of the way he treated police cases. He has a long history of being very pro-police, which I'll talk about that a little more after I show Cornell Brooks this morning here.
And as you well know, I mean, this grand jury may well not return an indictment here. They may take no action, and what I'm hearing, it's going to be a very hard case for the prosecutors probably to prove. Are you concerned about, if that happens, what the community, what the reaction of the community will be? Do you think it will be violent?
I am concerned. I am concerned because we have a prosecutor who had 5 complaints filed with the Justice Department concerning his police departments by the NAACP. He failed to take action. This was before Mike Brown. He then conducts a grand jury process where he essentially dumps evidence into the laps of the grand jury with little direction. So are we concerned? Yes. But we're more concerned about the failure of the grand jury to be given the kind of direction as is typically the case. And we're concerned about a grieving family and an outraged community. We want justice for them first and foremost, but we want to prevent more Mike Browns. That's the issue here.
I'll talk a little more about the grand jury process in a minute, but those criticisms of the St. Louis County Prosecutor, Bob McCulloch, and all the complaints against him, that really rings true with me based on about 2.5 years I spent working as a public defender in St. Louis County. And I said I'd talk a little more about how weird the grand jury process is, but I can actually show one of the attorneys for the family of Michael Brown, Benjamin Crump, who I remember, he also was attorney, I think, for the family of Trayvon Martin. Here he is on ABC's This Week with George Stephanopoulos, talking about how strange this grand jury process is here.
Well, I just think this process is unlike anything I've ever seen in my 20 years of practice. We don't think it's fair because when you think about it, if this prosecutor is saying we're just going to be fair, we're not going to recommend any charges, that's different from anything he's done in his past 28 years with grand juries. So now are we going to say he was unfair to all those people and he's going to be extra fair, get a police extra rights? Why can't it be equal justice? When our children dead on the ground, why can't we have the same process? Why you change the rules? Why you can't come and recommend charges right now based on the probable cause? You said it yourself a minute ago. It's just probable cause. 7 people said his hands was up.
And that's true. This grand jury process is very different. And one thing you need to understand also is in Missouri, there is no requirement for a grand jury. The prosecutor could have decided to charge this by information instead of a grand jury indictment, and then all of this could have been public. All the witnesses could have come to a preliminary hearing. I think that would have been a lot better.
But I want to know what you think. Would it have been more fair and informative for the prosecutor to have skipped the grand jury and instead to have charged Officer Wilson with probable cause tested at a public preliminary hearing? And for those who've looked at the transcripts released from the grand jury, didn't St. Louis County prosecutors act more like defense attorneys for Officer Wilson than prosecuting attorneys presenting a case to a grand jury?
YouTube, you decide.